Hi guys, what's up? This is JJ. This is JJ again, I could better say. Because in the beginning of last year, so in 2021, I was also on Flow Tricks. Like on Ken Hill's YouTube and on the Patreon of Flow Tricks. Because there was something with like a monthly instructor where Ken wanted to switch things up and bring some other people to give them a window actually to present themselves, to give a little insight in different chuckers, which was really nice for me to do. A good opportunity as well in a way. But now I'm just glad I'm back because I really enjoyed it. There's just what it is with Ken Hill and with Flow Tricks. There's a big audience and it's always nice to give something of yourself to a big audience. So thank you again, Ken Hill, that I can be here. A little introduction of myself maybe. I'm from Belgium. I'm 33 years old. But age is just a number, isn't it, Ken Hill? I do nunchucks for 7 years, and I started like everyone, chucking with a foam chuck of 350 grams, with a long rope, hitting myself, doing lots of tricks for months in a row, the same tricks, so making none to little progress. Then being in my couch with my smartphone, watching Ken Hill on YouTube. But then I just at one point I was getting more ambitious, and what it is with ambition, and we all have certain ambition, but we cannot be, let that be clear, we cannot be ambitious in everything that we do in life. For nunchucks I just felt it, and so it has become like a passion. But what the real passion was for me actually tournaments. So I started to do some live tournaments, living in Belgium and having the WNA, so the World Nunchaku Association, being headquartered in the Netherlands, which is like 100 kilometers away from here. It was nice to get in touch with that competition. I didn't really do much competitions, but my last competition was in 2019, where I got the silver medal at the World Champions of the Finca Federation. That's the France organization, so it was also in France. I was really quite satisfied with that, and then I wanted to change a lot of stuff. And then me, Jelle van den Broek, because that's my Belgian name, became a little bit of JJ. So I wanted to go, I wanted to go on the online events, the online tournaments. And I did that with quite some success. And it also, I found really my real passion, that is playing tournaments. And what is with playing tournaments online, in the opposite of doing live events, which are a duration of 2-3 minutes, is that online you can really go for the highest thing you can have. You can really be so creative as you want, and you're gonna search for tricks that match together, make combos. But for example, keep it more short, more aggressive, working with success ratios, which I'm happy to tell you all about it in the upcoming weeks, months, because it's very important, going into the online circuit. I had quite some success. I don't want to go too deep into it because that sounds quite cocky, and we are a community. It's not about who has the biggest, because I certainly don't have. No, but it's irrelevant. What is relevant is that having become a world champion, you do that brings something. You have that baggage, that package that you bring along with you, and that's why I'm so happy I can not also in my academy where I teach, where I give private lessons individually, mostly for people, or some they want to become better in general on a short notice, and that's what I can guarantee, but also people who just really want to go to that tournament scene, really want to step in, like how do I approach it, how do I get better, how do I get top 20, top 10 in tournaments. It matters, that's why also people, in sports in general get, a lot of pushed, is to really get those results. But it's just a part of freestyle, it's part of the community, it's a thing, but not everything. So anyway, that being said, I'm gonna go to my first trick. Most people, if they know me and they think of me, which I think it is, they tend to, connect me to my digit skills, my finger roll skills, where I go like, not only these simple things, but also, like zero gravity stuff, everything like this and that. And what it is with those things, they can be very tricky, they can be very technical, you can go step by step into it, it can go very wide. We also, by the way, have an NDC, that's an nunchaku digit challenge. which is a tournament hosted by the Nunchaku Pioneers. That's a Facebook group you probably heard of, familiar with, or even being a member of. And what it is with the tournament is that, you know, because we think of a certain finger rolls, you get to the most common ones, you know, like classic thumb roll, but also, you know, the one I just showed, like this one. But we can also really go to like 5-digit roll, for example. Has a quite high success ratio here for me, so it was quite safe for me to do. But you know, but then we can go further and further and further, and you know, so that whole digit thing, how we call it, so finger tricks, finger rolls, really got you know, it has come through an explosion in the last years. And my first trick, I want to be one of them, one of those tricks. But what it is with these tricks is that it can be done quite easily without having that, what I call, you know, like the German word Fingerspitzengefühl. I don't know if you say that in English, or that's American common language. But you know, to have that feeling. I mean, like, there are tricks. By the way, I wanna make a statement right now. I cannot do all tricks in nunchaku. I mean, like, you know, because nobody can. So also for me, and Ken says that a lot, everybody is in a certain learning process, has some learning points. It's the same for me. But I just tend to be quite good at this one, which means, and it counts also for all of you, we all have a strong suit, and in that strong suit, we just understand things more easy, and we see all the connections, we can make all the dots connect, and you know, sometimes you have to take advantage of it, and just, you know, give a little bit to a different chucker and say, like, this trick can possibly, because, yeah, what it is, to become a complete chucker, which has been my goal and is a goal for a lot of tournament chuckers. So you have these strong suits, you have these weak suits, but at a certain point of these weaker suits, what I always say in my academy, and which I will preach for, I guess, for the rest of my nunchaku life, is pick one or two of them. You don't have to own the complete set of tricks, but pick a few of them and then just add them to your list, train on them, get a quite high success ratio, make sure they're quite fluent. And then nobody will ever notice, like, you know, oh, but I never see him, or, you know, the critics, I never see him doing that, or he's a one-trick pony. You will never be a one-trick pony if you keep on collecting few bits of everything and then always focus on your strong suits. That being said, we're going to jump right into the trick, which I call the T from air. You know, I always have a list, and people who work together with me in the academy know that. I have a list. I always have a book, papers, notes on my smartphone, where I work, as you all probably do, with keywords or with tricks. So I call them in a certain way. And what is funny about that, because we're quite small community, is that we all do have, you know, there's this trick, you know, the butterfly, we all call them the same, chain unwinders, we all have the same name, but some tricks, you know, they deviate so much, and it's actually quite funny. That being said, I also have a certain jargon, as we say here, a certain vocabulary on tricks, and you know, you will get used to that along the way. The ones I use. For this one, they're not really necessary, because jumping into the trick right now, we're gonna start from a simple hand roll. You know, so a simple hand roll. And what does a hand roll leads to, mostly for me, is the basic aerial. You know, the basic aerial where you go from the positive grip, here we have the first one, into the negative grip. So you just hold it like this, you know, some call it the yin or the yang or something like that. I heard that before, and that's quite cool. I just call it the negative grip. You know, basic aerial, from this point, you're just gonna do like this. You're not gonna release your hand at the right moment that you feel like, all right, now I have to push through, just like rope skipping, where you're like, all right, now I have to jump into the rope and, you know, start skipping. I'm not gonna do that. But, you know, it's the same here. You know, when you try and you fail, you go error, this and that, you just find out, okay. Not only that, but we're also gonna release from this point, our hand like 20 centimeters up, and then we're gonna release and catch again in the positive grip. Now what it is with this trick, and I cannot stretch this enough, this is one of my methods in my own academy, but I think it just counts for everything. Keep everything consistent. What I always do is a 360 spin of the chuck. That means that I can always count on that the chuck will reappear, or that the part of the stick will reappear here. I always try to keep my aerials low, so they come quick and fast. So that means that the process in between is, for me, always, you know, mathematically, technically, scientifically, the same. And it matters, because what do you do when you want to train and want to get better? You're going to try to train yourself every day or every other day, a certain period of time. It doesn't have to be very long, but like 15 minutes or something like that. And what it is with that you want to give yourself some consistency. So being consistent also leads to efficiency, leads to easier progress. Okay, that being said, we're gonna do just one. If you do 2 spins here or 1.5, go ahead, because that is your way of doing it. For me, that would be chaos, but it's your chaos, and you know, we find our things the best in our own chaos. So for you, that's consistent, that's cool, you have more planes. All right, anyway, doing that, you know what it is with a thumb roll. For example, this is the basic thumb roll, and now you have to go like this, and then you have to, at a certain point, kick off, and what it looks like is that I release and push my hand like this, and it's quite true, but what it happens, and I'm quite being unaware of it because I am that further progressed into these things, is that I do make this little, you know, this little movement. And for people who can do a thumb roll, you know, just think about it, put yourself in a big zoomed in slow motion, and you will realize what it is here with this trick. And I'm just going to perform it right away, is that you actually can aim to the stick, but really to the stick, because what it is with a nunchuck in the air, we go near the connector, rope, chain, length. By the way, if you're right now watching this video and think like, yeah, but I have a chain, I don't have a rope, and you know, it's impossible to do finger rolls and this and that. I used to say that's BS, but it's not fully true. What it is when you have a long connector, for example, that's more of the truth. And when you have that, you know, that iron plastic top of it, where you have the swirl, the balls where it spins, you know what I mean. I don't know the exact word for it. It's a little bit harder, because just imagine that your rope or your chain is this length, which is my length, and you have like this. Of course it's harder because it's bigger. Just imagine that it would be like this, and it's swerving around right here, and you would have, it's harder. So that means that if it's half the length, only harder, it's longer, that it's also harder. So it's logic. But you know, it's still possible, and I'm gonna prove it within a few seconds. So this is the trick. I don't know if you saw it well. So aerial up, and then we aim for the stick. I'm waiting for my first nunchuck to drop, but it doesn't happen. Oh, well, that was a fail. Because what it is with all tricks, and I hope, because I have a certain, how do you say it, repertoire in tournaments, that I don't have to defend myself, because I fail as much as you do on almost every trick, you know, like maybe not almost every trick, but it's just, I told that before last year as well. Everyone dropped nunchucks, so, you know, I'm glad we can go on with this tutorial. All right, so it is basic aerial, so you're not gonna catch it in a positive grip, but you're gonna not catch it. You're gonna move your hand slightly more towards you. What you're gonna aim for is this part of the stick, all right? And what it is, you should, maybe if you don't know this trick, you think right now I have to touch it, and then I have to control the stick like this to make that spinning motion, because it's actually not really a thumb roll, but more a thumb spin. Not necessarily for me now to explain the difference, because actually it's something I made up myself, so it's my autistic version that comes along right now. What it is, just hit the stick. And the big thing about this is there's no need to do it fast. Some tricks we need to do fast. You know, for example, you can do this one very slow, but if we do this one fast, you create just more of rotation, more of little G-forces at the back of the chuck. Here it's not necessary. And you just have to push the stick a little bit upwards, but a lot on front. And I'm gonna do it a few times again now, just so you can see. See? At the end, it failed a little bit, because in the end you will feel that you will need to wrap your fingers around it. And then, you know, close the trick. Actually, I'm gonna stand a little bit further. What happens when I go too much near the rope? It will get harder. See? Because then the sticks will, and you know, because you hit the rope and you make, because this one is, although we do it slow, it's quite of an interference. And when you make interfere, they're gonna collide, they're gonna bounce together. And sometimes you can keep on doing it like this, that you can keep on, if you have enough experience, keep on getting back into that original vibe of rolling. But here, you know, you can perfectly avoid it. And I'm gonna prove it with the next movement. You know, what I will do is, what I wanted to say is I'm going to prove it that it's unnecessary, because what is also unnecessary is the vibe of the rollings. Because I said before, we do an aerial and we have a certain vibe, a certain motion, a momentum, but we actually don't really need it. What is more important is we're going to hit the stick somewhere around here. And I'm going to prove it by just throwing this up in the air and then just hitting my thumb here and doing the same motion. Voila. see? Try it. So it's horizontal when I throw it up in the air. Yeah, of course it doesn't go as smoothly, but just my point is, this is actually a quite, I would give it 3 stars. You know, because you also don't see that a lot. It's quite a cool trick. And I will tell you why in a few seconds, because, you know, I already used it in a tournament, so I will be telling it right now. In a tournament, I already used this trick in a combination with what I call a thumb roll kickoff. So, you know, thumb roll, this is my dino hand, of course. So we go back. We can also go back directly, of course. That was a long time ago with left hand. Yeah, I don't use my left that much. Don't mean I'm ignoring it, because I'm quite okay with my left, I think. But it's still a dino hand, you know. So what you can do is, you can at a certain point kick off. See, you hit that negative grip, try to show it slowly, and then kick off, okay? So what we're gonna do now with our left hand, and which is, if you're able to do this one, you know, quite easily, if you say like, yeah, I tried it before, or you try this, and you know, it works out the same evening, next evening, evening after, you have this like 70% of the time, try this one, you know, if you go to the left, negative grip, push off, and then, you know, so it's actually what I call a T to T. So I did this one at the NDC contest last year. Okay, focus. And I think it's quite cool because it creates this total, you know, this flying vibe of the nunchaku, where you literally go connecting. Because, for example, this one is also quite cool, and which is technically actually what I think a little bit harder, but it's more common. And you know, I think this one is quite cool, quite easy. And that's what I want to show it as a first trick. All right, a few things I want to say about this trick. First of all, now we do a basic aerial, and then we try to push up here. So when we connect here, we're gonna push forward. So we're gonna connect here, push forward. All right, what you can do is just grab it like here. Don't grab it like this, but you know, a little bit like this, you know, or a little bit like this, you know, a little bit in what I call, by the way, the pencil stance, because, you know, you can write something down. And then, you know, here, maybe a little bit higher, and then you're gonna swing, and then push off, okay? So I have to hold it a little bit lower because of my balance point. You see? All right, so I'm gonna go a little bit lower. Swing, 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 push. All right, so you can try this T from air. You can simulate it without the air. But what I do notice right now, because of course I try to give it right now, is in a tutorial, but I never train it like this. I need to watch it. I need to do more of this movement. You know, that everyone who does finger rolls know this motion. So to keep it rolling. But when I do this one, that was not well aimed. I really have to push. I only have to push forward. And that's exactly why I wanted to bring this trick in the first place. You just have to push. That means you don't need to have underlying skills, qualities that have been trained along the way to now go to this one, which looks like quite a harder trick. And for example, you know, horizontal finger thumb roll, or normal thumb roll, or like pinky roll, whoa, or like pinky roll, or even fine digital, where you really have that skills where you go like this, and this, and this, and you know, this one is just pushing up. So I would say just try it. Last thing I want to say about it is that, of course, there are 2 directions. First time is this, where it rolls outwards, but you can also go from, for example, to a simple aerial. This is what I call a simple aerial, and then push off. So just trying it right now, push off. You see, for me, this one is a little bit harder. It's not harder, but what I notice, I have a lower success ratio, because here my brain always wants to go near the rope, and I think for this trick where you really push that T from air is what I call the trick, you just need a little bit more. What it is, I think, because I always want to go near the rope, is that the ideal moment when it comes from this side is when it's a little bit like this, between, you know, what it is, half the clock and near a quarter after it. So you really, there is a certain moment you need to hit it, to hit it perfect. And here you just wait. You could almost aerial up and wait with your thumb. We're gonna try it, and then okay, and then just, you know, push off along the way. So we're gonna stretch our arm, and it will do its thing. It will hit a 540 degree. By the way, it's not really necessary to know, but you will notice that it will go like this. if you have a longer connector, you can maybe go for an extra spin. I say go, but actually what it is, the chuck will do it for yourself. Because that is the essence of this trick, that it just goes along so well. So, you know, if you're like, you know, basically doing stuff, you know, like doing this kind of things, just remember that if you can go to hand-roll, aerial, you can try to just push it off, and do the steer roll from air. Now, how cool would that be? That would be quite, you know, chic to your trick set, I think. So I would say, you know, just try, leave me some feedback in the comments on how it went. Maybe I'm just going too simplifying over it. Am I just like, you know, yeah, maybe for you it's like that. But what I do insist on that if you leave a comment or if you say like, well, yeah, this or that, if you give me some feedback about this trick, of course, in specific, the techniques, try to train it for at least 5 days, 15, 20, half an hour. It doesn't have to be that much. But if you do that consistently, for example, 5 trainings every day, so let's say you train 5 days in a week, so you don't have to train every day, of course. I mean, you get bored out, you know, bored out, burn out. So don't do it, but, you know, put some consistent time in it, just like I approach every trick, actually. And then see what happens, you know. And remember, for some people, it takes a little bit longer, but just don't say like, I tried it and it didn't work out. It doesn't even work for the best players in the world. I mean, I can really put my seal of approval on that. So, you know, just go ahead. Don't forget to have fun, because fun means motivation, you know, it's important. You know, let me know something. Well, good luck with the trick.